The Mariners just brought in Cooper Criswell, a 29-year-old right-handed pitcher, out of options, making league minimum and waived twice in a matter of days. Wait, you read that right, twice, in days. First thing I think when I see this move, either Jerry Dipoto knows something that everyone missed, or he's pulling the biggest bluff of the offseason. Because it makes no sense to grab a guy that Boston tried to hide that the Mets picked up and threw away in less than a week and think that now he's going to be the answer, unless you saw something in the film, something in the data, something nobody else could see. And before you think, oh, just another generic pitcher for the pitching pile, hold this information with me. Criswell has a pitch that Fangraphs grades as elite. Not good, not solid, elite. A sweeper that breaks 50 centimeters, the kind of pitch that should destroy hitters. But there's a problem, a big problem. When he threw that pitch last season, guys hit 875 slugging against it. That means pretty much every time he threw that elite sweeper, the batter sent the ball to Narnia. So either the pitch is a complete fraud, or there's something fundamentally broken in how it's being used. And that's where the story gets interesting, because think with me, you're the Red Sox. You have a guy with a potentially devastating pitch that simply doesn't work. You try to fix it for months. Doesn't happen. You offer him to the market for $800,000, trying to at least recover something. The Mets bite, look closely, and in days send him away again. They saw Freddie Peralta and Tobias Myers coming and thought, not even worth trying with this Criswell guy. But Seattle paid for him, used real money in a transaction. It wasn't a waiver claim where you just assume the contract. It was, we want this guy and we're going to pay for him. If you haven't subscribed to Mariners Fan Central yet, man, now is the time. Because if I'm right about what's coming, you're not going to want to miss a single episode of this saga. Hit that bell, drop that like, and let's find out together if Jerry Dipoto is a genius or completely lost his mind. So let's talk about who Cooper Criswell really is. 13th round pick in 2018. Angels, Rays, Red Sox. Never been the first option. Never been the guy you trust to start a decisive game. He's what we call organizational depth. The guy who exists for when everything goes wrong. But look at his arsenal. Changeup with insane drop, heavy sinker, cutter that cuts inside, and that damn sweeper that should be his secret weapon, but for some reason turns into a bomb every time he throws it. He throws from a low angle, almost sidearm. That creates natural movement on the ball. Physics is on his side, and when you look at the spin data, exit velocity, launch angle, everything indicates he should be dominating right-handed hitters. But he's not. Why? This is where I have a theory, and it might be my own craziness, but stay with me. What if the problem isn't the pitch, but what if Chirich? What if what if the birth arrive? What if the problem isn't the pitch, but where away were ice? What are waiting cries in the pitch? But a though, when is the recoveries? Is winning when he's in throw. What if the sequencing is all wrong? What if Boston was asking him to use that sweeper in counts where hitters were already sitting on it? Because look, 10% usage is nothing. That means when he threw it, it was obvious, it was telegraphed. Hitters knew it was coming. And an elite sweeper that you know is coming is still hittable if you're prepared. But what if you become a reliever? What if you come in the 7th inning, first time the opposing lineup sees you, and you come with sinker, cutter, bam, sweeper? They don't have time to adjust. They don't have previous at-bats to study. It's a surprise attack. Or even better, what if Seattle discovered a mechanical adjustment, like 1 more centimeter on the release point, 1 different degree in arm angle, those microscopic things that change everything, because we've seen this happen before. Remember when Matt Brash was struggling as a starter and they turned him into an elite reliever just by changing how he delivered the ball? Now, I know what you're thinking. Dude, 3 teams waived this guy. You're tripping. And yes, maybe I am. Maybe Criswell is exactly what he looks like. A mediocre pitcher who got lucky to be drafted and will spend the rest of his career bouncing between AAA and the majors without ever really breaking out. But there's another side to this coin. Jerry Dipoto doesn't make random moves. The guy can be many things, but stupid isn't one of them. He saw something. The coaching staff saw something, and they're betting they can fix it. And you know what's crazy? They have to try, because Criswell is out of options. He can't be sent to Tacoma without going through waivers again. So he's gonna stick on the 26-man roster. He's gonna get real opportunities. There's no way to hide him. This creates interesting pressure. Either he performs and justifies the roster spot, or he's gone in 6 weeks and becomes a footnote. There's no middle ground here. And to make room, they waived Jonathan Diaz, a guy who saved countless games as depth over the last few years. Diaz isn't sexy, isn't exciting, but he's reliable. He's the insurance you want when your rotation explodes in June. Waiving Diaz for Criswell is a statement. It's the front office saying, we believe the upside is worth the risk. Because if Criswell doesn't work and 2 more starters get hurt, Seattle's going to be looking at AAA praying for miracles. So here's what I think is going to happen. Spring training is going to be crucial. Criswell's going to compete, not just for a roster spot, but for a role. He's going to pitch in high-leverage situations. They're going to test that sweeper in real scenarios. And sometime in late March, we're going to know if this is genius or disaster. Because if it works, if that sweeper suddenly starts making hitters look foolish, if he becomes a reliable reliever who can give you 70 innings of solid ball, you just found absurd value for $800,000. But if it doesn't work, well, then Seattle has a problem, because you can't waive a guy out of options without admitting you were wrong. And admitting mistakes publicly isn't Jerry Dipoto's style. Here's my bet. Criswell becomes a reliever. They completely abandon the idea of him as a starter. They use the sinker and cutter to establish quick contact, and then they throw that sweeper in 2 strike counts. He becomes a specialized weapon against the right side of the lineup, or he explodes spectacularly and becomes trivia in 2 years. There's no middle ground with this guy. What do you think, Mariners fans? Am I crazy, or did Seattle see something real here? Is Criswell the next hidden gem, or just another expensive mistake? Because I need to know what you're thinking. Comment below, call me out if I'm wrong, call me a genius if I'm right. Let's debate this until spring arrives. Obviously a terror, calming a rhyme, calming or brine. And stemming a rhymes. But when Jekyll rhyme, call me a genius if I'm right. Let's debate this until spring arrives.